The sun dipped behind the hazy Los Angeles skyline, casting long shadows over a city that has always carried a dual identity, glamorous on the surface but ancient and forgotten underneath. Beneath the concrete streets, neon lights, and endless freeways lies a darker secret, buried for tens of thousands of years. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than black, sticky pits of asphalt where ancient animals once stumbled to their deaths. But new research has revealed something far stranger, evidence of a mass extinction event that doesn't fit neatly into history's timeline. Fossilized remains pulled from the tar are not only of mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and dire wolves, but also of species that scientists cannot explain, creatures that shouldn't exist in this part of the world, or at all. It began with the La Brea tar pits, a familiar tourist attraction in the heart of Los Angeles. For decades, paleontologists believed they were simply death traps, natural asphalt pools that preserved the bones of unlucky animals. But as teams excavated deeper, strange anomalies appeared. Layers of fossils showed sudden die-offs, massive numbers of creatures all perishing at once. Even stranger, some bones bore scorch marks, microscopic traces of radiation, and chemical signatures not associated with natural tar. It was as if something catastrophic, and technological, had happened here. Dr. Elena Marquez, a geologist specializing in paleoclimatology, was one of the first to notice the pattern. Studying isotopes within the bones, she found irregular spikes that mirrored nuclear contamination. Yet these fossils were tens of thousands of years old, far older than human nuclear technology. Either history is wrong, she whispered to a colleague, or we are missing an entire chapter of Earth's story. And then came the manuscript. Buried in the archives of the Los Angeles Public Library, a dusty, untranslated codex surfaced after nearly a century. It described a burning sky over a great western ocean and a city of shining towers swallowed by fire and tar. The document, attributed to a forgotten Spanish missionary, suggested that native peoples of California already carried oral legends about a mass extinction that destroyed not only animals, but also a first people who lived in a city long before the tribes we know today. Archaeologists dismissed it as myth, but Marquez wasn't so sure. In 2019, ground-penetrating radar surveys beneath the tar pits detected geometric anomalies, perfectly circular chambers buried under layers of asphalt and stone. They weren't natural. Something had been built there, and long before modern Los Angeles existed. The discovery was quietly suppressed, never released to the public. But leaked files pointed to a collaboration between UCLA researchers and a defense contractor with a history of acquiring strange archaeological finds. Whatever they found, it shook them enough to bury the data in classified archives. Whispers began circulating among independent researchers. Could the tar pits mark not just an ancient death trap, but the epicenter of a catastrophic event, one engineered rather than natural? What if Los Angeles sat on top of the remnants of a pre-flood civilization, a forgotten culture whose end came in fire and black liquid that consumed everything? Tesla's name appeared in the story, too. In 1934, when Nikola Tesla lived in New York, he corresponded with colleagues on the West Coast. Some letters hint that Tesla had been told of magnetic anomalies near Los Angeles that aligned with his theories of global resonance. One cryptic note read, "The land remembers an old song. A great city fell into tar, its towers still hum beneath the ground." Historians dismissed it as poetic rambling, but what if Tesla had been right? What if there really was a hum, an energy buried beneath LA, tied to the extinction event? Meanwhile, scholars of Tibetan texts pointed out another startling connection. The prophecies of Shambhala describe cities of the West that perished when the earth rebelled. These were not cities of our time, but civilizations before the flood. In these prophecies, fire and liquid earth, a reference some interpret as lava, others as oil or tar, swallowed entire nations. Could Shambhala's warnings of cyclical destruction link directly to what happened in prehistoric Los Angeles? Dr. Marquez's team tried to publish their findings, but the deeper they dug, the more resistance they faced. Grants were pulled, equipment confiscated, and one night their research trailer at La Brea mysteriously caught fire. Most of their fossils and samples were destroyed. Only a handful of digital files survived, scans of bones with radiation signatures, isotopic readings that made no sense, and infrared images of the underground chambers. Someone didn't want this story told. By 2021, the whispers had turned into a roar on underground forums. A mass extinction, hidden in plain sight, beneath one of the largest cities in the world. Evidence of advanced technology, suppressed by powerful hands. And a chilling possibility: whatever happened tens of thousands of years ago in Los Angeles might not be finished. The anomalies in the tar pits still pulse faint electromagnetic signals, detectable with modern instruments. They are faint, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. And so the question arises: what lies beneath Los Angeles? Fossils of animals, or the tomb of a forgotten civilization? A natural extinction, or a technological disaster that wiped out life in a single strike? As the countdown of strange anomalies grows stronger, some scientists fear the tar pits may be more than a graveyard. They may be a warning, one that humanity has ignored for too long. The deeper Dr. Elena Marquez pushed into her investigation, the stranger the mystery became. It was no longer just about fossils or extinct species, it had become a story about hidden knowledge, forbidden discoveries, and something powerful buried beneath Los Angeles, something someone wanted to keep secret. After the fire destroyed most of her team's collected samples, she received an anonymous email late one night from an encrypted account. The message contained a single phrase: "The humming city sleeps beneath your feet." Attached were two files. One was a blurred, black and white aerial photo dated 1937, showing La Bre's excavation sites, but there was a strange geometric shape beneath the surface, a perfect spiral of dark stone. The second file was even more disturbing, a classified report stamped, "Property of the Department of Energy." It referenced subterranean structure Omega-7, located beneath Hancock Park, the exact site of the tar pits, and warned that uncontrolled excavation may trigger seismic destabilization. Elena's instinct screamed at her to stop, but her curiosity wouldn't let her. She reached out to Dr. Noah Reyes, an independent geophysicist who had previously analyzed anomalies beneath Yellowstone. Together, they conducted a covert ground-penetrating radar survey late one night, disguising their equipment as standard environmental testing gear. What they found was staggering. Beneath the tar pits, nearly 180 feet down, lay a massive hollow chamber, circular, perfectly symmetrical, and lined with a strange material that reflected radar differently than stone, steel, or concrete. Reyes stared at the data in silence, then whispered, "This isn't natural. Somebody built this." Meanwhile, strange things began happening above ground. Construction crews working nearby reported hearing low-frequency vibrations under their boots, like the ground was humming. Equipment malfunctioned inexplicably. One worker claimed he saw blue-white flashes deep in one of the open pits, though his supervisor dismissed it as swamp gas. But Elena began cross-referencing seismic activity around Los Angeles and found something astonishing. Every time these hums intensified, minor earthquakes followed days later. It was as if something below was waking up, or powering on. And then there were the fossils themselves. Out of the few samples that survived the lab fire, one in particular defied explanation. It was a fragment of bone, smooth and polished on one side as though it had been cut by machinery. Under electron microscopy, it revealed embedded metallic particles, alloys unknown in nature. The isotopic ratios didn't match any terrestrial origin, leading Reyes to mutter, "If this is real, we're dealing with technology older than humanity itself." The deeper they dug into the archives, the more they uncovered references to something called the Seraphim event, buried within declassified military files from the 1940s. According to the documents, during World War II, government scientists secretly investigated the tar pits after reports of anomalous magnetic signatures disrupted early radar systems. Engineers discovered the same spiral formations beneath the surface and recorded unexplained power surges in nearby electrical grids. But all records of the findings abruptly stopped in 1947, the same year as the infamous Roswell incident. One document contained a handwritten note scrawled in the margin: "The machine is not dead. It's sleeping." Then came the Tesla connection, and this changed everything. In 1931, Nikola Tesla visited Los Angeles briefly, giving a lecture at the old Biltmore Hotel. But buried in his personal journals, discovered decades later, was a page describing singular harmonics detected in the region's subsoil. He claimed the vibrations aligned with his theories on Earth resonance, that the planet itself could be tuned like a massive instrument. Tesla wrote cryptically about a lost city beneath the western sea of tar, and a mechanism buried before the flood, one meant to awaken when mankind reached a certain vibration. Most dismissed these notes as eccentric ramblings. But Reyes realized Tesla's recorded frequencies matched the exact electromagnetic pulses they were detecting beneath the tar pits. This was no coincidence. Elena began piecing together a terrifying hypothesis. What if, long before recorded history, an advanced civilization thrived here, a culture that understood resonance, energy manipulation, and technologies far beyond our own? Something catastrophic must have happened, causing a sudden extinction-level event. The tar pits were not merely death traps, they were the aftermath. But the buried spiral chamber suggested something survived, and perhaps, still functioned. At the same time, unexpected links began to surface between Los Angeles and prophecies recorded halfway across the world. Ancient Tibetan texts, part of the Shambhala prophecies, described a city of black lakes, in the west, swallowed when the earth's blood boiled. That phrase sent chills down Alina's spine. Could earth's blood refer to oil and tar? Could Shambhala's records be pointing directly to this site? The texts also warned that when the hum returned, the sleeping ones beneath the city would stir, beings or machines, it wasn't clear. Things escalated when Elena and Reyes attempted a second covert excavation. They lowered a small drone into one of the deeper pits to map the spiral structure more precisely. At approximately 140 feet down, the drone's lights illuminated something impossible: smooth, metallic walls covered in carvings resembling constellations, constellations frozen in positions that matched the night sky 15,000 years ago. Before the drone could transmit more data, the feed abruptly cut. Within hours, black SUVs arrived on site. Men in unmarked uniforms confiscated all of Alina's equipment. A federal injunction shut down her research permanently. She received a direct warning: walk away, or you disappear like the others. The others referred to a quiet string of disappearances no one dared talk about. Independent researchers, conspiracy theorists, and amateur geologists who'd poked too deep into the tar pits had vanished without explanation. One name stood out: Professor Adrian Shaw, a maverick archaeologist who, years earlier, claimed to have discovered fossilized human remains beneath the tar pits dated to 30,000 years ago. His findings would have rewritten history. Days before he was set to present his evidence, Shaw vanished. His apartment was cleared, his data erased, and his name scrubbed from academic circles as though he never existed. Now, Elena and Reyes stood on the brink of the same fate. But they couldn't let it go. The evidence was too compelling, the anomalies too precise. What had happened here wasn't just local history, it was a lost chapter of humanity itself. If Tesla's calculations were correct, whatever lay buried beneath Los Angeles wasn't inert. It was waiting, and the signals were growing stronger. By late 2022, strange phenomena began affecting the city. Residents reported feeling subtle vibrations late at night, even when no seismic activity was recorded. Dogs howled without reason. Compasses malfunctioned in parts of Hancock Park. A series of small but powerful electromagnetic surges disrupted cell towers near the tar pits, forcing temporary shutdowns. It felt like something beneath the earth was waking up. The terrifying part: every recorded surge aligned perfectly with Tesla's resonant activation cycles, meaning, according to his notes, the energy signatures were building toward a climax. If Tesla's final equations were correct, there would come a day when the resonance would peak, and whatever slept beneath Los Angeles would sing again. Elena realized they weren't studying an extinction event at all. They were standing on the epicenter of something far larger, something ancient, powerful, and possibly catastrophic. And now, for the first time in thousands of years, the hum was returning. Dr. Elena Marquez barely slept after the government raid. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the spiral chamber beneath Los Angeles, perfectly symmetrical, perfectly engineered, and impossibly ancient. The confiscation of her data had made her furious, but what unsettled her more was the warning: walk away, or you disappear like the others. Her instincts told her that Professor Adrian Shaw, the archaeologist who vanished years ago, had found something inside the chamber that authorities wanted buried forever. Determined to learn the truth, she reached out to an old contact, Marcus Kane, a former NSA analyst turned whistleblower, who had previously leaked classified files on deep Earth energy anomalies. When Marcus saw Alina's surviving radar scans, his face went pale. "You don't understand what you're sitting on," he whispered, glancing around nervously. "I've seen fragments of something called Project Halcyon. It ties Tesla, the Los Angeles anomaly, and Shambhala together. And if I'm right, the spiral chamber isn't just a chamber, it's a machine." Marcus explained that buried beneath Los Angeles was an energy device older than recorded history, built by an unknown civilization, possibly even predating the Younger Dryas impact event 12,800 years ago, which many scientists believe caused a sudden mass extinction. According to redacted memos, this machine wasn't designed to destroy but to preserve, like a planetary failsafe. It could manipulate vibrations, frequencies, and energy fields on a massive scale, possibly stabilizing tectonic plates and even redirecting catastrophic events. But something had gone wrong. The device was damaged, leading to a cascading chain reaction, boiling tar, suffocating gases, and the death of thousands of species. In other words, the La Brea tar pits weren't natural at all. They were the scars of an ancient technological failure. But the deeper twist came when Marcus handed Elena a decrypted document dated 1952. It contained a single shocking sentence: "The Los Angeles resonator shares harmonic alignment with the Shambhala core." Elena froze. This meant Shambhala, the mythical hidden kingdom described in Tibetan texts, might not be myth at all. According to Marcus, there were whispers of multiple resonator sites around the globe, connected like nodes in a vast planetary network. One beneath the Himalayas, one under the Gobi Desert, another beneath Antarctica, and one here, beneath Los Angeles. The texts described them as chambers of the sleeping ones, and hinted they were created by sky beings who engineered early humanity to serve a greater purpose. Reyes, skeptical but intrigued, cross-referenced Tesla's final journals. One equation stood out, a formula describing Earth's natural frequency, or Schumann resonance. Tesla hypothesized that if you tuned an artificial energy source to this frequency, you could manipulate energy globally, potentially triggering earthquakes, storms, or even altering the planet's magnetic field. What terrified Reyes was that Tesla's recorded resonance frequency perfectly matched the pulses they had measured beneath Los Angeles. By now, Elena knew they had to see inside the spiral chamber. But after the government confiscated their equipment, they needed a different approach. Marcus arranged access to an abandoned network of storm tunnels beneath Hancock Park, where old blueprints suggested a forgotten access shaft might lead deeper underground. Late one night, Elena, Reyes, and Marcus descended into the tunnels, carrying a compact ground-penetrating sonar device and a modified drone. The air grew heavier as they moved deeper, the smell of asphalt and tar thickening until it became almost suffocating. Then they found it, a corroded steel hatch covered in warning symbols. Some were standard hazard markings, but others were older symbols carved directly into the metal itself, eerily similar to those they'd seen on the metallic fossil fragments. With trembling hands, Reyes forced the hatch open. A rush of cold air burst upward, carrying a strange, low hum, deep, rhythmic, and almost alive, like a distant engine. They lowered the drone into the shaft. As it descended, the feed revealed a smooth vertical tunnel lined with an unknown alloy, almost mirror-like, spiraling down in perfect symmetry. At around 300 feet, the drone's lights reflected off something massive, a circular platform etched with concentric rings, each glowing faintly with bluish light. Floating just above the platform were hundreds of crystalline fragments suspended in midair, as though gravity itself was being distorted. Reyes whispered in awe, "This isn't just a chamber. It's a power core." But the deeper the drone ventured, the stranger it became. One wall displayed a mosaic-like relief depicting scenes that made Elena's blood run cold. Humanoid figures, taller, more angular than modern humans, stood alongside spiral-shaped machines, directing streams of energy into the Earth itself. Beneath them, chaotic imagery showed floods swallowing cities, fiery skies, and creatures she couldn't identify, all carved with incredible precision. The implication was horrifying. This wasn't just a depiction of the past, it might be a warning of what happens when the machine fails. Suddenly, the drone feed glitched violently, as though something down there didn't want to be seen. For a brief second, the screen showed something impossible, a humanoid silhouette, faint and translucent, standing near the platform, watching. Then the feed went black. Before they could process what they had seen, the entire tunnel shook violently. A deep, resonant vibration reverberated through the earth, rattling their bones. Elena stumbled, gripping the wall for support, while Marcus cursed under his breath. The readings on their instruments spiked uncontrollably, electromagnetic surges, harmonic frequencies, and bursts of heat from below. The machine wasn't dormant anymore. Something was reactivating. They scrambled to leave, but as they reached the storm tunnels, they found two men in black tactical gear waiting for them, armed and silent. One stepped forward and spoke calmly, "Drive. Marquez, you need to stop." His voice was cold, rehearsed, but his expression betrayed fear. "If this device reaches full activation, Los Angeles won't survive. None of us will." Elena tried to ask who he worked for, but he shook his head. "You're chasing something older than humanity. It wasn't meant to be awakened. Walk away while you still can." Then, without another word, they disappeared back into the tunnels. Back at her apartment, Elena pieced through Tesla's notes again, cross-referencing them with the Shambhala prophecies Marcus had decrypted. One passage stood out: "When the hum returns to the western gate, the earth's blood shall rise, and the machine will sing again. Only those who hold the key of 7 will command its song." But what was the key of 7? And who, or what, controlled the network of resonators around the planet? For the first time, Elena wondered if the extinction event buried beneath Los Angeles wasn't just history repeating itself, but a countdown that had just begun. Elena stared at the decrypted manuscript Marcus had retrieved from a restricted archive, her hands trembling slightly. The Shambhala prophecy echoed in her head: "When the hum returns to the western gate, the earth's blood shall rise, and the machine will sing again." For days, the strange underground vibrations had grown stronger, spreading far beyond Hancock Park. Residents across Los Angeles reported hearing a low-frequency hum late at night, rattling windows, setting off alarms, even interfering with pacemakers. Scientists publicly dismissed it as urban seismic resonance, but Elena knew better. The machine beneath the tar pits, the one Tesla had warned about, was waking up. Marcus, now fully convinced they had stumbled onto something catastrophic, revealed a hidden layer of Tesla's notes he had decrypted using an old frequency cipher. These weren't just equations. They were coordinates, 7 of them, marked globally on a hand-drawn map Tesla had called the harmonic lattice. One resonator sat beneath Los Angeles, but the others were scattered across the planet. Beneath the Himalayas, linked to Shambhala. In the Gobi Desert. Beneath Antarctica's Lake Vostok. Near the Nazca Lines in Peru. Deep below the Sahara Desert. And one lost somewhere under the Pacific Ocean. Each site, Tesla wrote, was designed to stabilize the planet's vibrational balance, forming a synchronized energy network. But his final warning chilled Elena: if one node destabilizes, the song becomes chaotic. Resonance collapses. The Earth corrects itself violently. Reyes ran simulations based on Tesla's equations and the energy surges they'd recorded beneath Los Angeles. The results were horrifying. If the LA resonator reached full activation while the others remained dormant, the imbalance would trigger catastrophic tectonic shifts, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, even rapid climate destabilization. It wouldn't just affect California, Reyes whispered. It could trigger a chain reaction across the entire Pacific Rim. Yet the spiral chamber's carvings told a different story. The scenes weren't depictions of doom, but of intervention. A civilization, older than humanity, maybe not even human, had built these machines after a previous cataclysm to keep Earth habitable. Whatever caused the extinction event at La Brea wasn't their intention, it was an accident. But something, or someone, had shut the machines down thousands of years ago. Why? Then Marcus brought another bombshell. A classified CIA file he had accessed years ago, titled Operation Seraphim. According to the report, in 1977, a covert team attempted to enter the Los Angeles chamber. Only one survivor returned. His testimony described an artificial intelligence older than the human species, a consciousness embedded within the machine itself. He claimed it communicated not with words, but with tones, like a symphony resonating inside his skull. The final line of the report: subject terminated by cardiac failure, likely induced by harmonic overload. This explained Tesla's obsession with singular harmonics. He wasn't trying to build free energy devices for human consumption, he was trying to understand the song. A song designed not for us, but for the planet itself. By this point, time was running out. The humming beneath Los Angeles had reached a constant, deafening pitch, inaudible to most humans but shaking infrastructure subtly but persistently. Drones flown into the shaft returned corrupted data. Seismic monitors picked up rhythmic pulses rather than random vibrations, almost like a countdown. Reyes feared that whatever consciousness powered the machine was trying to reconnect to the global network, but the other resonators remained offline, meaning energy would keep building until something catastrophic released it. Elena decided there was only one path forward: they needed to reactivate the other nodes. But how? That's when the Shambhala connection became undeniable. Marcus decrypted a second prophecy hidden within the Tibetan manuscripts Tesla had referenced, describing an artifact called the Key of Seven, a crystalline device supposedly hidden in the City of the Eternal Sky, known today as Shambhala. According to the text, the key was designed to awaken all 7 resonators simultaneously, ensuring planetary balance. Without it, any single activation would cause chaos. They didn't have months to find Shambhala. They had days. But before they could even plan, their worst fears materialized. An unmarked convoy surrounded their hideout near Pasadena. Men in dark tactical gear, the same ones from the tunnels, stormed the building. Elena and Reyes were separated. Marcus was dragged into a van. As she struggled against her captors, one agent leaned close and whispered, "You've crossed into territory you don't understand. The machine isn't yours to wake." She was rescued hours later by someone she never expected. Adrian Shaw, the archaeologist thought to be dead. Haggard, bearded, but very much alive, Shaw revealed that he had been forced underground for years after nearly exposing the machine's purpose. He had infiltrated a secret organization calling themselves the Order of the Veil, a group dedicated to keeping humanity ignorant of the resonator network. Their reasoning was chilling. They believed activating the global lattice would make humanity obsolete, handing control back to its original builders, whoever, or whatever, they were. With Shaw's help, Elena and Reyes managed to evade pursuit long enough to smuggle new data out of the tunnels. What they found was beyond comprehension. Deep scans of the spiral platform revealed an inner core emitting pulses of structured, mathematical code, a signal not random but intelligent. It wasn't just a machine, it was a messenger, constantly transmitting data to unknown locations across the planet, and possibly beyond it. Then came the final trigger. On the night of August 12, the hum reached a threshold audible across Los Angeles. Lights flickered citywide, transformers exploded, and thousands reported seeing strange auroras above the skyline, shimmering waves of green and blue dancing across the night sky. Inside the chamber, drones captured the spiral platform fully illuminating, its concentric rings spinning slowly, lifting fragments of debris into the air. Elena and Reyes realized the truth too late: the machine wasn't malfunctioning. It was calling. And someone, or something, answered. A massive electromagnetic pulse erupted from the chamber, knocking out power across Los Angeles and sending shockwaves through the Pacific. Seismic sensors recorded harmonic waves propagating across the globe, like an invisible drumbeat waking the other 6 resonators from their long slumber. Marcus, still in custody, managed to send one last encrypted message before vanishing: "The network is live." Shambhala wasn't a myth, it was a command center. In the chaos, Elena could only stare at Tesla's map. The 7 nodes glowed faintly on her tablet, indicating energy transfer between them. Los Angeles was no longer isolated, it was now synced to something vast, ancient, and powerful. The countdown had begun, and the hum beneath the city was only getting louder. What lay beneath Los Angeles wasn't just the story of an ancient extinction. It was a warning, and perhaps, an invitation.